It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. I've had some folks reach out to me the last couple of weeks, and they said, Ray, could you analyze the Konica toner shortage? The first thing I want to do is say, there was an explosion in a toner plant in Japan, and that's a terrible thing. And, no OEM wants that, and no OEM wishes that on another OEM. It's just a terrible thing to have happened. But, folks, there's a bigger story here than the shortage of toner. And that story is how the decisions Konica makes will impact the resellers forever. And so without any further ado, I want to get on my Sharp Interactive board. I want to talk a little bit about the Konica toner shortage, and I want to talk about how I believe what's going on right now in our marketplace has the possibility to open up the biggest Pandora's box in our industry's history. And so without any further ado, I want to get on my Sharp Interactive board. I Googled the toner explosion regarding the toner issue with Konica. There's stuff all over the internet. And I found this press release that Konica had published. They're talking about an October 18th, November 20th date in here. And the bottom line, it's a mess, okay? We all know that. It's a crisis. Konica's addressing the crisis. They're doing everything any OEM would do. Hey, we're trying to work through this. But, folks, it was in another article that made me start really opening up my own mind. And from what I see in this other article, I want to share that insight with you. It also says here that this article was written by Printing Industry News for Canada. The title is Plant Explosion May Lead to Toner Shortage. In this article, they talk about how Konica may use alternative suppliers. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about the impact of that decision. If Konica uses alternative suppliers to provide toner to their resellers so those resellers can put that toner in the end user's equipment, did they not just in fact endorse alternative supplies? And I know y'all are going to say, my God, Ray, it's a crisis. What are you talking about? Why are you picking on Konica? It's not about Konica. It's about any OEM. Any OEM that finds themselves in a crisis and uses alternative products, contracts with alternative manufacturers to provide those supplies, opens up a Pandora's box and says, hey, alternative products work or we wouldn't be providing those to you. What happens when the crisis is over? What happens when the plant reopens? Do they go back to those resellers and say, okay, now you got to start using OEM because the alternative products are bad for the machines? You see where this is going? Ladies and gentlemen, our industry is in the biggest decline in its history. It's being disrupted by technologies that allow people not to ever have to print again if they don't want to. And as the OEMs, fight for market share, and as the OEMs end up consolidating one day, hopefully, there's going to be so many things that these OEMs do that'll impact the resellers. And this is why I get so damn excited when I see my friends like at Lexmark, getting into this Optra IoT thing. Or when I see, Xerox buying CareAR, an augmented reality company, getting into AI and doing deals with ServiceNow as an example. Or when I see my friends over at Sharp selling all these alternative products that have nothing to do with print, where people can read information behind glass. It's exciting stuff. Or when I see the resellers out there getting into IT services. Yesterday I saw on social media where my friends over at RJ Young just rebranded themselves. Folks, our industry needs to all rebrand ourselves, right? We're trying to go deeper and broader. We're trying to get past toner, A3 equipment, 5-year leases, premature upgrades. We're trying to do away with all these things, and yet some of us are still trying to save all these things. But the Konica toner shortage is also affecting some graphic stuff, right? Industrial print stuff. This is an issue. And the reason it's a big issue is because a lot of the alternative suppliers don't make that stuff. They don't want to dabble in it. In other words, there's not enough market share out there for them to do it, and the equipment is way too expensive for them to R&D the toner before they go to market. So a lot of these alternative suppliers don't mess in that arena. We'll see how that pans out for Konica and the alternative suppliers. I'm going to bring Chris Pollock on tomorrow as part 2 of this episode. Chris Pollock owns Pollock & Pollock, the largest A3 toner reseller in the United States, I believe. He does a great job. He's got great relationships. He's built a strong business around alternative toner. So people have been using alternative toner for a long, long time. And the OEMs have kind of held, just held dealers accountable to only buy an OEM. They try to tie rebates and all these things to it. But this shortage that Konica is experiencing is going to have to change some thinking around alternatives, right? And folks, as we change our thinking around the acceptance of alternatives, we need to start thinking about the future of our industry. As the OEMs start to consolidate on top of each other, we're going to start using more alternative products. So it needs to be part of our business strategy. That's in A4, that's in A3. Because ladies and gentlemen, one thing we all know for sure, status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo. I'll see you here tomorrow with Chris Pollock. We're going to continue this conversation.